So good morning, everyone. Thank you for showing up on a Saturday morning and welcome to this session. Today's topic is habits decoded. And I have very good authors that I have taken inspiration from for today's class. One of the most famous authors is James Clear, and his book is Atomic Habits. And there is also another author called Charles Duhigg, who's also written on habits, The Power of Habit, and also another book called Hooked. So many books. I mean, I've been buying books for a long time, but I think I really started reading and going deeper into them only when these webinars have begun. So I put together a few slides based on the teachings of these authors and also sharing with you examples of how I've used it in my own life and how I wish to also change few things in my own life. So it's not like I've arrived, but yes, ready to make those changes. And I hope each one of us here also is willing to make those changes. So I'm sharing my screen. All right. Okay. So I guess it's visible to all. Maybe I'll just ask Belinda. Is it visible, Belinda, to everybody?
Yes, Eva, it is.
Thank you, Belinda. Okay. So habits decoded.
Sorry.
Pardon? Is it? Is the slide okay to see?
Yeah. Can you just make it little zoom?
Some more zoomed.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. If I zoom it more, it'll go out of the screen.
So usually everybody has the option to view fit to screen or fit to window. So Eva, you can keep a standard size and required, you can zoom it for yourself personally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the flow of the session is what are habits, why and how do they form? So what is the science behind habits, the importance of habits, how habits shape your identity, like from a behavior to a habit. What is the journey? What is the habit loop? And habit stacking is a methodology for new habits. And how do you break habits that you don't need? You know, many of them say these are bad habits. I really didn't want to use the word bad, but I want to see how we can break habits that don't serve us anymore. Till a certain point, they did serve us, but now they don't serve us. And we create a doable action plan for at least 2 new habits. Okay, so I'm excited about the class. So what are habits? Habits are nothing but a routine of a behavior which is repeated regularly, and that tends to occur subconsciously. So a habit can be something as simple as I keep, every time my glass comes down to the tip of my nose, I'm not even aware, when the class is on, I take it and I put it back. Now this is a habit, okay, that I have learned to adjust my glasses, and it's happening automatically. I don't think, oh, my glasses have come down. Okay, now I'll take my hand, I'll put it back. Automatic behavior. So a habit is a routine of behavior which is repeated regularly, and it tends to occur subconsciously. Habits can be good, bad, or neutral. Okay, again, of course, the word bad is used here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but it's an habit. So Aristotle says this. So many a times, you know, why I thought of choosing this also as a topic. Of course, it's a follow on from the work that we did last week on how to reprogram your subconscious mind and the power of the subconscious mind. And of course, it filters into the next part, which is habits. So our entire life is about bringing on these important habits that we want in our life. And every day, when day in and day out, we play out these habits, they make us who we are. Okay, so today, if you don't like who you are and some of the behaviors that you possess, it's because over many years and over a period of time, you have been repeating these behaviors. We are not sitting on a judgment seat and judging each other, but we are looking at ourselves very consciously and saying, okay, this habit serves me, this one does not, and I'm going to change it. So habits run our lives on autopilot. We need habits. These are small decisions that you make and actions you perform every day. An action as simple as walking into a dark room and you switching on the light, putting on the switch so that the room is filled with light, is a habit. Okay, it's not something that you learned when you were born. You learned this behavior. So your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. How in shape or out of shape you are, okay, is a result of your habits. How happy or unhappy you are is also a result of your habits. How successful or unsuccessful you are, and this is again, mind you, your own parameters and your own benchmarks, is a result of your own habits. All right. Now, what is the science? Why do we need habits? Now, to do any particular function, the brain requires a ton of energy. And whenever we have to do any particular new action, it is the prefrontal cortex. When you say prefrontal cortex, it is this front part of the brain, which is involved in creating or making these new neural pathways for getting that action to be completed. But imagine if on a daily basis, for some activity that you are doing day in and day out, your brain needs so much of energy, it's not feasible. It's like, every day you are using like maybe 1 cylinder of gas to do all your cooking. Not possible. I mean, that won't help you, right? We have to learn to optimize the energy that we have. So the brain optimizes it. What does it do? When a certain behavior, keeps happening in a loop and continues, these action loops are then sent to the basal ganglia. Basal ganglia is this part. So if you see the picture, the orange part in that whole blue background is the basal ganglia. That's the part of the brain, which is part of actually the primitive brain, where these action loops are stored. So that is like a storehouse. One doesn't need to go and repeat it. It's like a system which is set inside your brain. So habit is formed and done with very little mental activity. So for example, last week we spoke about driving, okay, if somebody does driving. Or let's take just cleaning up your room. Okay, you clean up your room. Maybe you have a set pattern of actions that you will do. Like first, you will maybe use the vacuum, or maybe you'll use the broom to sweep the room. Then you will use the wash, the wet cloth to wipe the room. You may do it, or you may have somebody to do it, but there is a sequence to it. So basically, that habit formation is seen as a mental activity which is structured in this action loop, which is stored now in the basal ganglia. And once this action is set, it is very difficult to dislodge it. And that's a reason why we are able to survive, because we are holding those action loops and memories inside of us. Okay. Now, why are habits important? So good habits are very hard to start. Okay, let me tell you, it's not easy. If I have to go on a healthy lifestyle, it's going to take a while, because there are many factors that are involved in bringing on a new habit or a change in one's behavior. All right. And bad habits also, or we say habits that don't serve us, are also difficult to break, because they have formed an action loop and they are embedded in the basal ganglia. So the brain doesn't know whether this habit is good for me or it's not good for me. If I have been doing it regularly, it gets stored as a habit in that part of my brain. I mean, that's the story. So the brain doesn't know this is good for you, that is not good for you. So if eating very, processed food, eating fried stuff all the time, or smoking, or having a lot of alcohol, or stuff that is not good for the body, has turned into a habit, then it's very difficult to break that loop. But yes, there are mechanisms to break, but it is not very easy. Now, James Clear has some very clear lines. So what he says is your outcome, whatever outcome we have arrived at in our life, are the lagging measures of our habits. Okay. So, last week, some of us spoke about, many of us, we really want to earn a lot of money. But that is more goal oriented. I want to earn. But what about the money that I earn? Do I have good financial habits that I can save the money that I'm earning so that my financial status stays at a certain level, you know. So he says your net worth is a lagging measure of your financial habits. Like, do you have the habit of saving, or do you have a bank account where monthly you are putting it into some mutual fund, or you're doing some form of financial habit which is money is coming in but you're holding it, or you are delaying gratification by not just as soon as the money comes, next day you go and splurge. So how we maintain ourselves, different parts of maintaining our life comes from habits. Your weight is a lagging measure of your eating habits. Okay. Some of it can be true, some of it can be also hormonal. So, there are many things. You have to take it for what it is. Your knowledge can be a lagging measure of your learning habits. Yes. So, whatever knowledge you hold, it's because you are consciously making that effort to learn. And I applaud each one of you who is here today, because you have taken the trouble to be here to learn something new. Or maybe you already know it and you're brushing up your knowledge. So if you look at this graph, on the y-axis, you have the results, and on the x-axis is the time in years. Now, suppose you make 1% improvement every day. You pick up one habit that is good for you and you work on it on a daily basis. Small, not very big. Like all of a sudden you want to lose this 10 kilos or 20 kilos of weight. That's not going to take you anywhere, because that takes you into that whole yo-yoing. So here we are talking about 1% improvement. You take care of what you're eating, build in a good exercise schedule, have friends who are also on the path of getting into healthy lifestyle. And this 1% improvement over the years will compound. Okay. Maybe at some point when we do financial or abundance consciousness class, we will talk about the compounding effect. And it's the same when the compounding with money, as well as the compounding with our own health and our being, our well-being. So you have 1% improvement going up, or if you are picking up a habit that is going to trouble you, or that is going to kind of reduce your life expectancy, or make you do stuff that is toxic for the body, there's also going to be a decline. Okay, so pay attention to this graph. Yes. Now, 2-3 things here. If you see this picture, there are 3 circles. Right in the middle, the circle is your identity, who you are as a person. The second circle is the processes that are involved. Okay. And the third circle is outcomes. So normally what we do is, whenever we want to plan a change in our life, we plan by changing an outcome. That means we look at, what am I going to get? What is my outcome going to be? Now, suppose I go for a workshop. Before a workshop, many a times people say, what are the expected outcomes of this workshop? What will I gain from this? Okay, so that is changing your outcome. So before I went to the workshop, I had zero knowledge on this subject. But after the workshop or the session, I have understood that this knowledge is good for me. So of course, it's not really an outcome. It's more like a knowledge transfer. But when you put it into action, it becomes an outcome. Changing processes, changing habits or processes, and that is about what you do. So processes are your actions that you take. Okay. Changing the identity. Now, the identity is changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image. It's about what you believe. Now, James Clear talks of 2 things. He says identity-based habits and outcome-based habits. So many of us, we believe in outcome-based habits. I want to lose 5 kgs of weight. So when I want to lose 5 kg of weight, which is outcome, what is the process for it? Okay, I will join a gym, or I will find a trainer, I will eat this, that's a process. And then what is the identity? The identity is that I want to look thin, or I want to look slimmer, I want to be slimmer, I want to look good. Now, that is outcome-based habit. But an identity-based habit is, you first decide who you want to be. Okay. Do you want to be seen as this? It's like your subconscious mind believes you are fat and you want to become thin. But when we do identity-based habits, you are first telling yourself that I am healthy. I am already holding my optimum weight. And this is the identity I want to have for myself. Now, if I'm a healthy personality or a healthy person and I have my optimum weight, what are the processes that I need to do, or what habits do I need to have to keep this identity in place? Okay. And while doing these processes, the outcome will automatically be matching with that of the identity. I'll give you an example to understand this a little better. So suppose there is someone who is looking at quitting smoking. So when it is outcome based, okay, remember outcome is the outer circumference. The person will say, suppose somebody offers the person a cigarette, the person will say, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. So the person is resisting the cigarette and saying that I want to quit smoking. But the belief is, I am a smoker. So the identity is of a smoker, but I'm trying to be someone who is a non-smoker. So this takes a lot of work for the brain to work on, okay? Because you are somebody and now you're trying to be somebody else. So this is outcome-based habits. This also works, takes time. Then you have identity-based outcome, identity-based habits. So here the same different person is also resisting a cigarette. So the person says, when somebody offers a cigarette to this person says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. So he or she stops identifying with the behavior of smoking. Okay. And the belief is smoking was part of my earlier life, not anymore. So this then is a very clear message to the brain that my new identity as a non-smoker is where I am beginning from. And from this space now, everything else happens. So this is again in line with what we studied last week or what we learned in the last class of how you have to use your imagination to create that image of who you wish to be. And based on that image is everything else then works to bring that image into reality. Okay. And that is part of creative visualization. So what is identity? How will you create an identity for yourself? So you'll have to take some time and we'll have to, actually sit with yourself and say, who am I as a person? What is my interest? What are my hobbies? Well, what is my inner circle of influence? My family, my friends? What kind of work brings joy and passion to me? What are my hobbies? What kind of habits do I practice? Are these habits those that bring me to a good space? Or what are these? What are these spaces that I'm in? What is my ethnicity? I'm from India. So do I, work with the culture of my country? What is it? What kind of a person am I? What is my appearance? What are my beliefs? Okay, all of this. So as soon as you create this identity for yourself, maybe we will, you'll have to create like a vision board, or maybe in your journal, you'll have to write out all these things. And once you do this, now every process, every action is towards bringing this into reality, this new identity of yours into reality. Like I forever kept telling myself, I'm an educator, I'm a trainer, I'm a facilitator. I facilitate spaces for women, for men, for children, but more so my love for women, I do it for women. And when I have this as an identity, now my subconscious trains me or gives me cues and ideas of how I can create a process to bring this identity into fruition. All right? Okay. Very important part of the session. This is the habit loop. So there are 4 things that you have to remember. First is the cue. Second is craving. Third is response. And fourth is the rewards. As soon as you know these 4 laws of behavior change, you will be able to manage any habit in your life. The first thing is cue. Cue is a trigger, something that you have to make it obvious. So, for example, I want to wake up in the morning and I want to drink, I want to drink some water as soon as I wake up. So, my cue is, my trigger to drink water is that I'm waking up. So, I wake up is a trigger. When I wake up, the first thing I do is I keep the bottle next to my bedside, on my bedside table. I pick that bottle and I drink 2 glasses of water right then and there. So the cue becomes very important. Second is the craving. Okay. What is the craving? The craving is that it is the reason which is very similar to the reward. Whatever reward you're getting is what you crave for. Like, when I drink water, I crave that I keep myself well hydrated. I want my skin to look, nice and taut and not saggy or, anything. Or I don't want to feel dehydrated. So the craving is for me to feel hydrated. The response is I take the action. I take the glass of water, I drink it. I take another glass of water, I drink it. And the reward is then throughout the day, I have made time slots for how many times I will drink water so that I have at least 2 to 3 liters of water per day. And by the end of the day, I feel hydrated. When I go to urinate, it's not dark yellow urine, but it is nice straw colored or white colored urine. And I know that my kidneys are flushed well, the toxins are out of my body. So this is something very simple. So the cue triggers the craving, which motivates a response and which provides a reward and which satisfies the craving. Okay, so the reward is that I'm feeling hydrated and it has satisfied my craving. My craving was that I don't want to feel thirsty. I want to be hydrated. So my reward has actually, kind of fed or motivated the response. And then that then ultimately becomes associated with the cue. We'll explain this a little further. We'll take each of them separately. So what is the cue? Okay, now just look at this first part. It's a trigger, it's a behavior, it triggers behavior, and it predicts a reward. So to start a new habit, you are more likely to start it if you choose a specific time and place. So what is the cue? Cue is any kind of signal or a trigger that motivates you to bring about a behavior change or to create a new behavior. So our ancestors, they had only 2-3 cues. One cue was to find food, second was to find water, and third was to have sex. 3 things. But today we have different cues. We have cues to make money, we want fame, we want power, praise, we want family, we want good relationships. So depending on what is your cue, we then go to the next part, which is your craving. So the craving is the motivational force behind each habit. Now, James Clear, in one of his interviews, he said that earlier, the other author, Charles Duhigg, when you look at his habit loop, or mainly the science which is behind this, talks about only 3 parts: cue, response, and reward. Craving was not a part of it. Okay. So, but James Clear brought craving into being because he said sometimes the cue is the same, but the response is different. Okay. Last time I gave you that example of the snake in the room and 2 people having 2 different responses. Okay. So in the same way, now the cue is I walk into a store. Okay. There is a donut. They're selling donuts there, or nice, some Indian mithai, jalebis, and, very lot of sweet and full of sugar. And for person 1, the cue is that, oh my God, I'm craving these sweets. I just want to feel good. I love sweets. I want to eat them. And the response is buying the jalebis and eating them. The second person also walks into the shop, looks at the jalebis and, is also getting a craving. The craving is, oh, I have to keep my body healthy and I have decided that I will be off sweets this month. So my response is, my craving is for a healthy body. So my response is, I will not buy jalebis this time from the shop, or I will not buy the donut. Or maybe I'll buy the donut, but I'll eat half of it, or maybe one piece of it. So it's like portion control. So what James Clear said was, there is a cue happening, but it is the craving, that portion, which makes all the difference. So what is the craving about? The craving is, you can crave something physically, like I want to eat this, or I want to touch this. I want to get, I like the feel of this soft bedsheet. So the craving can be physical. The craving can be emotional. I want to feel loved. I want to be held. Okay. I want to feel a sense of relief. Like, for example, when a person, the cue is to go and, smoke a cigarette, the craving is not to smoke the cigarette. The craving is, I'm feeling stress and I want to relieve myself of stress. And that is the reason why people take to smoking. So that is the craving. And the response is that they smoke the cigarette. So the game changer is the craving part. If you have this sorted, all of your habits will get sorted. So bring a lot of awareness into what is the reason behind what you do. Okay, so the craving is actually, Simon Sinek, another teacher, talks about the why of what you do. So craving gives you the reason why you are doing this behavior. Okay, and sometimes the behaviors are so deeply ingrained, you don't even know why you're doing it. Why? When did it even start? Then comes the response. Response is the actual habit you perform, which can take the form of a thought or an action. If the action needs a lot of physical and mental effort versus what you wish to expend, then you won't do it. Now, suppose you want to go to the gym and you want to exercise, but it's taking a lot of effort on your part. The gym is very far away. You need to either get into a rickshaw, or you need to take a bus, or you need to take your car out. It's a lot of work. When there is too many filters and too much of stuff happening, and too much of energy is being put into it, then you will not do it. Because the craving will be there, but the ability to do the response, the energy to bring that action into fruition is not available. Okay, so in the response stage, you also need to see how doable and how easy it is. Make it easy for you. And there are steps how he teaches. And response, again, depends on your ability to do it. So, and the final part is the reward. Reward is the end goal of the habit. The rewards can be physical. Okay, I go and exercise, and at the end, I've promised myself that I will eat a small piece of chocolate. That is my reward. Or emotional, I feel very happy and energetic after I have done my round of exercise. Or cognitive, suppose today my trainer taught me a new sequence. So I have learned something new about my body. I've learned a new exercise sequence. So cue. So when we look at all these, this whole thing about rewards, we have to understand that rewards can also be like short-term and long-term rewards. Short-term rewards are this immediate reward, I'm feeling good and all of that. And the long-term reward is that over a period of time, the identity that I had prepared for myself, I match with that identity because I have stuck to my habit, which is bringing me closer to the image that I have created for myself. Okay. So the cue is noticing the reward. Craving is wanting the reward. Response is obtaining the reward. And the reward satisfies us and teaches us what is good for us. So how do you create a good habit? Make it obvious. Okay. Now, suppose you want to go to the gym in the morning, or you want to exercise in the morning. Make it obvious for you. Maybe you can write on a piece of paper, I exercise. Like what I did, I put a whiteboard in my bedroom. I removed 2-3 artworks. I put a whiteboard and I said, I will exercise, and I put the days of the week. Okay. But I made one mistake, and I'll tell you that in the next slide. The second law is make it attractive. Now, how did I make it attractive for me to go to do my exercise daily? What I did was, I'm very much about how I look and how I present to the world. So I bought a nice backpack, okay, which I wanted to go for walks. So I bought a nice backpack and I need my water. I also need a little bit of dry fruits. I need my sanitizer. I have got 20 little things that I want to carry. How do I carry it? I can't carry it in a small sling bag because it gets heavy on my neck. So I bought a backpack, nice one, new one for myself. I got clothes that are workout clothes, so that I'm like nicely dressed up, matching stuff and everything, so that I feel good about me. It's not about anybody else. It's how you want to do it. So I made it attractive for me by doing these things. You have to see how you can make it attractive for you. Then third, make it easy. What did I do? I kept all these gym or exercise related items in one place. Socks, shoes, my tops, the workout pants, what the bag that I need specifically for workout, I kept it in one particular place so that I don't have to hunt for it everywhere. Oh, where are my socks? Oh, where is everything? The sports bra, everything in one place. So it becomes easy for me to go there, take everything, dress up, and leave. Okay. Then make it satisfying. How do you make it satisfying? For me, the whole reward is that I want to feel energetic. More than losing weight, it was about me feeling energetic and feeling happy. And while walking, also to make it attractive, what I did was I would play songs. I had a playlist specially made for my walks, which I used to really love listening to. And over a period of time, when you have your cue, your craving, response, and reward lined up, you will surely reap the benefits of this. So he gives a small example. So there is a problem phase and there is a solution phase. So for example, your cue is you walking into the dark room. That is the problem. The room is dark. The craving is you want to be able to see. You want to see what's in that room. The response is you flip the switch, the light switch. The reward is you satisfy your craving to see. Turning on the light switch becomes associated with being in a dark room. So now your cue is, as soon as you walk into the dark room, the response is to switch on. So your cue and response are matched. So there is something called stimulus and response. So here the cue is I'm in a dark room, and you may even cut the craving in between, but your response is putting on the light switch. So over a period of time, when you continuously do that habit, you won't even need to have a craving. You will automatically move from cue to response, and that is when it becomes an action loop in your basal ganglia. I understood this, when I was watching one, of course, on Netflix, we watch a lot of these series, and one of the series I was watching was this K-drama, the South Korean drama. And where one of the actresses there, she has moved her home from the city to a village, and she has not even unpacked all her stuff. So it's early morning. She woke up, she brushes her teeth and all of that. And the first thing she does is she puts on her, workout clothes and she goes for a run. She's not waiting to unpack all her boxes and set her house. And then she comes back. And throughout that series, what I have noticed is that they have made both whoever is in that village or whoever's living there, the hero, the heroine, all of them give a lot of priority to fitness. It is as if it's become a habit like brushing teeth. So it's a given. It's not something that you have to put effort to do. So you brush teeth, you may have a cup of tea, and the next thing you do is go for a run. So this is how automatic we need to make a healthy lifestyle for ourselves. It will happen only when we work towards it. There are days even I'm unable to do it. Okay. And especially for us women, it becomes difficult because we operate mostly from our which brain? Not the left brain. We operate from the right side of our brain, which is very creative. And we have our days, full moon days have different stories happening. New moon days have different stories happening. So we have to be gentle with ourselves till we make that exercise a habit for ourselves. Not too many habits, because then again you're going to be like really rigid. But these things which are very important for us, we need to do it for ourselves. All right. Let's go to the next one. So there is something called implementation intention. Now, these are again pointers to how you can create new habits and make them stick to you. So when you pair a new habit with a time and location. So for example, I will, okay, your behavior at whatever time and location, and you write this down in your journal, okay, or write it down in your room and paste it on that soft board or write it on your whiteboard. For example, I will meditate for 5 minutes at 7 a.m. in my bedroom. Okay. Now, why this is important? Of course, they have done research to say that when you give very specific instructions to the brain, behavior, time, location, they did studies and they found that people who did this not only brought forth the new behavior, but they stuck to this new behavior. See, we want to hold on to new behaviors or new habits. We don't want to just do it for 2 days and the third day forget about it. We want to stick. We want to make these new habits stick to us, right? So this is one of the ways. Now I'm going to take you to the next one. There's something called habit stacking. I love this one. So you build a new habit by identifying a current habit that you already do, and you stack a new behavior on top. So the current habit, like one of the examples James Clear gives is, the current habit is brushing my teeth, which is I don't have to think about it. I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I'll pee and then I'll go and brush my teeth. So it's so autopilot. But suppose I want to bring a new habit of maybe massaging my gums with maybe say salt, or do some other Ayurvedic detox like oil pulling. You put little oil in your mouth and you fish it on all sides, and that it's healthy for your gums. Or you want to floss your teeth. So these are new habits. Now, how will the new habit stick? The cue will be your current habit, which is brushing the teeth. And right where you brush your teeth, there in that same cabinet, you keep the oil right next to your toothbrush and toothpaste, so that the next thing you do is after the brushing of teeth is that. Like many of us, I do this next to my brush and toothbrush and toothpaste. I keep my face wash. So in the morning, as soon as I finish brushing, I take the little bit of the face wash and use it to cleanse my face. So keeping it right next to it and stacking one habit on the other, and that helps it to kind of build a new habit and hold it. Now, environmental design, very, very important for us. Now, suppose you want to make this habit of wanting to drink water, and this is what I have done in my house. What I realized is I love drinking water. I want to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water. But what used to happen is all the bottles were in the kitchen. Okay, we would fill the bottle because all of us have that AquaGuard, and so the bottles would be filled and kept in the kitchen. So it's an effort for me when I'm sitting and doing work either in my bedroom or maybe in my hall, or I'm going around. I have to get up, carry myself, go there, remind myself to drink. And some days when I'm working completely on my desk, I'm not drinking water at all. So what I did is, for every member of the family in the house, I got a little basket. You get these plastic baskets, which can keep 2 bottles of water. So these 2 bottles of water is your basket. Okay. So I keep it where I am most part of the day. So if it's a table that you work on, if you have a desk of your own, you keep those bottles there so that you are constantly drinking. At your bedside table, you will keep a bottle there. If you're stepping out for some work, some errands, you carry a small bottle of water with you. This is what I do. So your design has to be in such a way that it supports your new habit. If your new habit is, I want to eat healthy and fresh fruits all the time. But what do? Our fruits are there kept in the refrigerator, in the fruit section, which is right below there, I mean, if you have your, freezer on top, we end up opening it maybe once or twice a week and you're not eating. But if you keep it on your dining table or on a table in a little, basket, I started keeping it in the basket, but we also have this habit, I had these nice crochet covers. I was nicely covering them up and making it look pretty. But what happened was nobody could see the fruits and the fruits would again get decayed. So now I threw off all the covers. I keep the bowl as it is with 2 apples, maybe 2 oranges and one guava or something or whatever is the seasonal fruit. And children, when they go in and out, they pick one fruit and they eat. So what I've realized is the eating habit of bringing fruits has also increased by doing this. So most people live in a world others have created for them. But you can alter the space where you live and work to increase your exposure to positive cues and reduce your exposure to negative ones. Provides an additional cue by setting up a space around you to make it easy and obvious to trigger a new habit. So one of the things that many teachers speak about is keep your gym shoes in your bedroom right next to your bed. So if you are a person who wants to get up in the morning and go, keep all your clothes ready one night before so that when you wake up you just wear it and go. I've seen my husband do it, and it's really become like a habit for him. Because it's difficult to stop a bad habit in your normal environment, it's easier to start a new habit in a new environment. So before you begin any new environment, change something in your room. Change the position of some of the things in your room. That is a message again to the brain that I am now willing to bring some new change in my life. So one of the examples when I was, listening to also this other author, Charles Duhigg, I'm going to share those talks with you on the group. He says that, they did one experiment where when anybody buys a new home, there is one new brand of maybe coffee or some other, maybe tea or some other brand that that particular family chooses when they move into a new home. So the whole thing is when I move into a new home means I've upgraded myself. When I've upgraded myself, I then feel it's good for me to give permission to myself to buy something new or to taste something new in my life. But of course, we can't keep going buying houses and redecorating our homes, but we can make small changes. You can make certain changes in the way your tables are kept, or maybe, add a plant to your room, do something that can, bring forth a message to the brain that I'm now changing something in this room. Make it easier for you. The gym example, just start getting into the habit of going. So another thing he says is, just go to the gym and sit there for 5 minutes. You may lose some money, but at least the habit of going to the gym. So there was this one guy who went to the gym for exactly 1 minute, but he had to dress up and go to the gym. Stay there for 1 minute and he used to come back. And after a month, he felt comfort to actually start, gymming on a regular basis. So that is environmental design. There is something called temptation bundling. Okay, these are all methodologies. You make a new habit you want to start, you make it attractive, but you'll be more likely to start it. And you can use this technique, which is called temptation bundling. What do? Now, suppose your current habit is, I want to, I wake up in the morning and I just like to sit and lounge and after that, I usually check my Facebook or Instagram, or maybe I go on Amazon, or I'm on, Myntra or some application, and I love scrolling. Now, the current habit is me waking up. The existing habit is I wake up and I scroll. But now I want to bring a new habit in between. The new habit is maybe I want to meditate for 5 minutes. So what you can tell yourself is, every time I wake up, and I sit and meditate for 5 minutes, I can now reward myself with my existing habit of Facebook scrolling for 5 minutes. Like, you have to give yourself time, not that you meditate for 5 minutes and you're on Facebook for 1 hour. Okay. So some things like this you can do for yourself, your own rewards, so that new habits can stick. So repetition is very important, but reduce friction. Okay. The most effective form of learning is practice and not planning. We are very good planners, but when it comes to putting into action, it becomes very difficult. Use habit formation to make action progressively. Now, what he says is, for example, this is an example he gave. When I started going to the gym more this year, I signed up for a gym within walk distance to work. Okay. Which means I don't ever have to drive to the gym. I'm already there when I park to work. Even though this gym was more expensive than my average gym, my results on investments were much greater than the expensive gym because I went way more often. Okay. So the thing is, you make your whole system, you put a system in place. Don't make it just that, oh, I want to wake up one day and say, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this. But put a system in place, plan the whole thing, and then take action. Okay. Why bad habits are bad to or difficult to break? Now, craving for something is just a manifestation of a deeper underlying motive. So, for example, your brain didn't evolve with a craving to check Instagram, right? But at a deep level, the motive is I want social acceptance, I want approval, or at the most, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. So, I'm just scrolling Instagram. Okay. So, what you need to do is find out what is your craving and whether this craving holds any weight. If you're craving for a healthy lifestyle, it makes sense. But if you're just craving, oh, boredom hai, main kya karu? My life sucks. I think I'll just just scroll on Instagram. Then that is something that you can change. New apps, things, or video games don't create a new motivation. They are just one solution of many available to meet that underlying motive. Okay. So I used to keep asking myself, what is it that I want? Why do I keep buying so many books? I keep buying. It's an addiction. It's a craving. I'm craving for books. I'm craving for knowledge. But then I realized that I'm buying the books and I'm not reading them. So now to inculcate this new habit of maybe creating a webinar. So I then have to, my reward is I create the webinar. Okay. And that too. And the response is, the action is that I'm preparing for it, create those slides, put the webinar ad out and do the webinar. That became now the books are a cue for me or a trigger for the response that I put out what I have learned. Okay. So your current habits are not necessarily the best way to solve the problem you face. They are just the methods you learn to use. And you can, once you associate a solution with the problem you need to solve, you keep coming back to it. All right. Okay. So this is the habit loop. Now this is an unwanted habit. So the cue is I'm bored, I'm doing work or studying. The craving is I need a break from boredom and mental work. What is my response? Start scrolling social media. What is the reward? Pleasurable distraction and a relief from boredom. So this can be done for some time, but don't do it all the time. Yeah. Okay. Reframe your habits. That means highlight the benefits. I have to go to the gym. No. I'm grateful I can go to the gym. I'm grateful I have money that I can go to the gym. Or I'm grateful I have a healthy body and I can still do some form of exercise on my body. Okay. I will send you all these slides. So how do you break the habits that you don't need? We do what is known as the inversion law. So the first thing in Q was you make it visible. Here you make it invisible. Okay. I'm not supposed to eat sweets. What do? If I have sweets or chocolates, I don't keep them right in the front where I can see them. I keep them hidden somewhere. So in Google, in the company Google, what they did is they have refrigerators. They have kept fruits and healthy drinks in the front, and they have kept the cola drinks at the back. They've not taken them off, but it takes you an effort to reach and to remove them. If you have, many of us have alcohol at home, but we have, we like these bars and we make it very accessible for all. But if it is something, it's a habit that you are trying to break, then put it away, put it inside a cupboard. Don't put it out there to show everybody. Make it difficult for you to go and pick it up. Make it unattractive. Okay. Make it difficult. Also, how difficult can you make for you to reach out to that habit that you want to break and make it unsatisfying? That by doing this habit, this is not going to help me. So when you do this, you are able to break the old habit. friction is you can create what is called reverse friction. So for example, especially we have kids who love to play video games and all. So unplug the system and put it in your closet. So every time you have to play, you have to remove it out, you have to, you have to kind of join it together, then you dismantle it. And that's how you can get over a bad habit. Okay. Track your progress. Okay, very important. Keep a journal. If you have created, can you mute? Yeah, please mute yourselves. And if you have missed, I mean, of course, he says never miss twice. It's okay. No one's going to come and kill you. But stay on track. Progress. Track your progress. See what's happening, and reward yourself if you have done well. All right. So we will work on the action plan, okay, after the session. I want to talk to you about what is a keystone habit. So exercise is said to be a keystone habit. What is exercise? Why is it called a keystone habit? It is one habit which if you bring into being, you will end up changing different areas of your life. Like it gives you dividends in the sense, increase confidence, okay, when over a period of time, when you start feeling healthy, a lot of stamina and you're energetic, higher productivity, high energy, better sleep, and you will also switch to a healthier diet. And all of that will lead to an improved mood. So pick up a habit that will bring all of these things together for you. But if you feel, okay, there are problems associated with, exercise and it'll take you a while, that's fine. Like I have decided that I have some serious issues with exercising in the gym. And I realized that there is some subconscious beliefs that I'm holding on to. And maybe I'll check in for a session, this week with one of my friends who are therapists and maybe do an EFT session or something to just release that block which is there. So becoming aware is very important. And these are the references, and I'm going to send you that. Okay. All right, ladies.